All right, let's unpack this. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive, really getting into an incredibly poignant and significant chapter of modern military history, the Iraq War.
Right.
More specifically, though, we're focusing on the pivotal Second Battle of Ramadi. But, we're not just looking at the big picture, the strategic strokes maneuvers.
No, this is different.
Yeah, we're experiencing it through a very personal lens, one individual's remarkable service and ultimately his sacrifice.
Yeah. Private First Class Benjamin C. Schuster.
Exactly. His story is really the heart of this new book, The Second Battle of Ramadi by Shawn Armstrong, Super Gringo Books. And this isn't just some dry military history text.
Not at all. It weaves together these really personal accounts with, sharp strategic analysis. It gives you a unique perspective on a conflict that defined an era.
Right. So our mission, really, in this deep dive is to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights from this book. We want to help you understand not just what happened,
But why it mattered. And the profound, the human impact, the lasting effect of conflict on the people who lived it and the communities they left behind.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty remarkable how one person's story can light up the immense complexities of a huge conflict like this. It gives it a tangible human dimension that, statistics just can't capture.
Mm.
For anyone who needs a quick refresher on the history of the Iraq War kicked off in March 2003, U.S.-led invasion, the main goal being to overthrow Saddam Hussein's regime.
Which happened relatively quickly, the conventional part anyway.
Exactly. What started as, a more conventional military campaign, rapid advances, big engagements, it very quickly morphed into something else entirely.
A counterinsurgency.
Right. A complex, sprawling counterinsurgency operation that went on for years. It was all about asymmetric warfare, brutal urban combat, fighting these shadowy, adaptable enemies.
And Ramadi became central to that.
Absolutely central, especially in that really volatile 2006-2007 period. Ramadi, this city in the huge, mostly Sunni Arab Anbar province, it just became this crucible of insurgent activity, a strategic hotspot, fiercely contested.
So as we get into Schuster's story,
Yeah, you'll really see how deeply interconnected individual experiences like his were with these massive geopolitical shifts and the military strategies that were changing, like constantly on the ground.
it's a powerful reminder, isn't it, that history isn't just made by presidents in general.
Not at all. It's shaped by the courage, the sacrifice, the daily grind, really,
Yeah.
of countless individuals just trying to do their job.
Okay, so we've set that incredibly complex stage, the Iraq War, Ramadi's dangerous role. Let's zoom right in now through the eyes of Private First Class Benjamin C. Schuster.
Okay.
He was born and raised in Williamsville, New York, apparently a community with strong values, a real respect for service, for dedication. And he was young, only 19, when he decided to join the New York National Guard.
Yeah, 19, wow.
Yeah. And it seems like it wasn't just a job for him, it felt more like a calling to contribute, be part of something bigger, especially after 9/11, which obviously changed everything.
Right, that context is crucial.
He ended up assigned to the 2nd Battalion, 101st Cavalry Regiment. They're based in Buffalo, New York. Got a proud history.
A guard unit heading into that environment.
Exactly. His deployment to Iraq was part of Operation Iraqi Freedom, this massive long-term campaign aimed at, well, the goal was stabilizing the region after Saddam, fostering a new government. But the reality on the ground...
It was vastly more complicated than anyone predicted.
Yeah. And choosing the National Guard route, that highlights a specific kind of commitment, doesn't it? That readiness to step away from civilian life right into, well, frankly, extreme danger.
And the danger in Ramadi, where Schuster ended up, it was just off the charts. Oh, absolutely. You mentioned it, most dangerous city in Iraq during that time. That wasn't just talk. Every street, every building, every single patrol demanded this constant, almost unbearable vigilance and huge mental emotional strength.
The threat was everywhere, unseen.
Pervasive.
Yeah.
From every direction. And according to the guys who served with him, Benjamin Schuster, during his time there, he showed just profound courage, real selflessness, and this deep, deep sense of duty to his buddies, his unit, his country.
Highly regarded, the book says.
Yeah, by peers, superiors, everyone. They saw his dedication, his commitment to the team. The 201 Cavalry, they're known for resilience. And Schuster really embodied that.
And then the tragic date.
Yeah, February 25th, 2006. In Ramadi, Private First Class Benjamin Schuster died from a gunshot wound.
Yeah.
His sacrifice, it's such a stark, heartbreaking reminder of the risks, the unpredictable dangers that service members face in a war zone. where the reality can just change in an instant, far beyond anything you train for. It really highlights the fragility of life in that kind of chaos.
The news hitting home must have been devastating.
Completely. The impact of his death was immediate, profound. It sent shockwaves through Williamsville and much further. Family, friends, his fellow soldiers grappling with losing this young guy who, as the book says so movingly, had so much to offer.
A future just gone.
Yeah. And his sacrifice, it really drove home the personal cost of conflict for so many families across the country. It underscored the heroism of those who choose to serve in places like that.
And his legacy lives on.
Absolutely. It's meticulously preserved. Memorials, tributes, plaques, community things named after him, not just in Williamsville, but other places tied to his service. It ensures his name, his devotion, endures.
His story becomes part of that larger history of service.
Exactly. He stands as this powerful symbol of unwavering duty. And while it's deeply personal, Benjamin's story forces us, really, to look beyond the cold numbers, the statistics of war.
To see the individual lives.
Yeah. The potential lost. The immense value of every single contribution, every sacrifice. It highlights the countless, often untold challenges faced by young men and women on the front lines.
It really does.
And if you step back, Benjamin Schuster's story, it really is a profound microcosm, isn't it, of the human experience inside that huge, sprawling conflict.
It forces you past the casualty counts, the strategy talk.
Yeah, right to the individual cost, starkly. Which brings up a critical question. What's the specific psychological, the emotional fallout of losses like that? Not just for the family.
But for the whole community. And especially the guys who served with him.
Exactly. That band of brothers ethos you hear about, it's real. It makes these losses just devastating. A piece of each survivor is lost too, you know? The book, reflecting on Schuster's sacrifice, actually brings up that famous Shakespeare quote from Henry V.
Ah, yeah.
From this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother.
Powerful stuff.
It really is. It's not just poetry. It captures that enduring remembrance, the deep camaraderie, that shared experience that defines military service. Benjamin Schuster's sacrifice, his loyalty, his courage, it absolutely epitomizes that. It cements his place in that band of brothers.
That human cost right there in Schuster's story, it really drives home the reality of the place he was in. So what did that reality mean for Ramadi itself, the city where he served?
Well, it was a city just engulfed in chaos. And that chaos developed fast after the initial 2003 invasion.
The power vacuum.
Exactly. Saddam's regime gone creates this void. And it's quickly filled by various armed groups. Sectarian militias popped up, organized along religious or ethnic lines. And these formidable insurgent groups, especially al-Qaeda in Iraq, AQI.
And AQI spearheaded the Sunni insurgency.
Largely, yeah.
Yeah.
It grew out of this pervasive feeling of marginalization among Sunnis. They'd been dominant under Saddam. Now they felt disenfranchised, oppressed by the new Shia-led government. And they saw the U.S. as favoring Shia and Kurdish groups.
A dangerous mix.
Extremely. It led to this descent into chaos. Sectarian violence peaking right around 2006, 2007, exactly when Schuster was there. And Ramadi, being predominantly Sunni Arab, became a real focal point for this struggle.
Fertile ground for insurgents?
Absolutely. You had this political alienation combined with socioeconomic collapse. The local population, maybe 400,000 before things got really bad, faced widespread unemployment, failing public services, a sense of abandonment.
So young men felt they had few options.
Right. Few prospects, deep grievances. Joining the resistance offered this perverse sense of empowerment, purpose, fighting perceived oppression from both the new Iraqi government and the foreign forces.
And Fallujah played a role in Ramadi's situation.
A huge role. The fall of Fallujah in 2004, that fierce, protracted, devastating U.S. effort to secure the city, it shattered trust between U.S. forces and Iraqi civilians all across Anbar province.
And the insurgents just moved.
Many did. Displaced fighters, foreign jihadists that just headed west, further cementing Ramadi as this major hub for insurgent activity.
Yep.
It created this incredibly complex, incredibly dangerous environment for urban warfare.
Where telling friend from foe was almost impossible.
Constantly. A constant dilemma.
So when the 2nd Brigade, 28th Infantry Division, the Schuster's Guard unit was attached to, arrived in Ramadi in 2005, 2006, the city was already, as you said, a nightmare.
Living nightmare is right. The sources are stark. Often referred to as the most dangerous city in Iraq. That wasn't hyperbole. Violence was spiking dramatically.
What kind of violence?
Relentless insurgent ambushes, the constant threat of IEDs, those improvised explosive devices, homemade bombs, the signature weapon, and high-profile attacks targeting coalition forces and any Iraqi seen as collaborating.
So the brigade's mission had to be more than just fighting back.
Oh, much more. It was multifaceted. Yes, aggressive combat ops to try and reduce AQI's capacity, but also extensive intelligence gathering, and crucially, civil affairs efforts trying to win over the local population.
A dual approach.
Exactly. They understood military force alone wasn't going to cut it. So alongside combat patrols, they started these comprehensive community outreach programs. Soldiers going door to door, neighborhood patrols.
Trying to build trust.
Yeah, trying to calm fears, build rapport, and critically, set up these informal informant networks. At the same time, heavy focus on civil affairs, rebuilding schools, clinics, roads.
Trying to restore some normalcy.
Right. Vital not just for humanitarian reasons, but strategically. Undermine the insurgent narrative that the U.S. and the new Iraqi government offered nothing but chaos. These interactions, often dangerous, between soldiers like Benjamin Schuster and Ramadi citizens, they were crucial.
Shaping the whole environment.
Absolutely. Trying to establish some legitimacy for local governance and U.S. efforts, it was painstaking work. Rebuilding trust, one handshake at a time, right in the middle of a war zone.
But the insurgents weren't letting up.
Utterly relentless. AQI had this chillingly calculated strategy. So division, so fear. They systematically targeted local tribal leaders and Iraqi police recruits.
Why them specifically?
They saw them as symbols of legitimacy, local authority, potential collaborators with the U.S. So, a brutal campaign. Targeted assassinations, kidnappings, public executions.
Like that tribal leader mentioned in the book.
Exactly. Assassinating a renowned leader like that sent shockwaves, a horrifying message. Cooperate and you die.
And that had a wider effect.
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't just isolated violence. It instilled this deep paranoia. People were terrified to cooperate. Crimes went unreported. Police recruitment stalled. Trust just evaporated.
Making the brigade's job even harder.
Enormously harder. It rapidly eroded faith in any new governance. A classic counterinsurgency nightmare. How do you win hearts and minds when sheer terror dictates daily life? When silence is survival?
The insurgents knew what they were doing.
They absolutely did. Controlling perceptions and actions through terror was as effective as controlling ground.
Okay, so Ramadi's spiraling. Both sides are forced to adapt constantly. To really get a handle on how things eventually started to shift, we need to look at the strategic chess match, the different players involved. The U.S. military obviously brought this huge adaptable structure. The book mentions the 1st Brigade Combat Team of the 1st Armored Division, operating in Ramadi, a really versatile unit, right? Capable of high-intensity fighting, but also peacekeeping, Koyan ops.
Yeah, the BCT structure was designed for that flexibility.
But it wasn't just the big conventional units. Special Operations Forces, SOF, played a massive role. Navy SEALs, for instance.
Cannot overstate their importance.
Yeah.
These guys are masters of unconventional warfare, direct action, precision counterterrorism, small teams, high pressure, extreme effectiveness.
And how do they fit into the bigger picture?
It's fascinating, actually. Their skills, reconnaissance, intel gathering, precision targeting, they hugely boosted what the conventional units could do in a complex place like Ramadi.
But they did more than just kicking down doors.
Oh, yeah. Deeply involved in stabilization, advisory roles, too. Training, equipping local Iraqi forces. The idea was sustainable security after coalition forces eventually left.
And other branches were involved, too.
Absolutely critical support. Air Force gave air superiority, recon, logistics moving people, supplies, providing devastating close air support for troops on the ground.
Vital.
Indispensable. The Marine Corps brought their unique urban combat skills, rapid reaction capabilities, and behind it all, this vast network of logistics and intelligence units feeding real-time data, shaping missions. An intelligence-driven approach became key to disrupting insurgent networks.
A whole system working together.
A complex, synergistic effort. Every piece mattered, from the grunt on the ground like Benjamin Schuster to the analyst looking at drone feeds miles away.
But the enemy, AQI, they were evolving just as fast, weren't they?
Just as fast, yeah. It's captivating in a grim way to track their evolution. AQI gets established in 2004, led by the brutal Abu Musab al-Zarqawi. They built this sophisticated, flexible structure, militants, disgruntled local Sunnis, foreign fighters.
And their ideology.
Focus on establishing a puritanical Islamic state. And they were masters at exploiting Sunni discontent. They painted themselves as the defenders of Sunni interests against the U.S. and the new Shia government.
It wasn't just random resistance.
No, it was calculated. They understood the power vacuum, the historical grievances. They cleverly reframed the fight from anti-occupation to sectarian civil war, which sadly legitimized their brutal tactics for some. That narrative shift was incredibly potent.
And the sectarian violence was deliberate.
Horrifically so. A relentless terror campaign against Shia civilians, bombings, assassinations, intentionally fueling that cycle of retaliatory violence, tearing Iraqi society apart.
Then Zarqawi gets killed in 2006.
Right. A pivotal moment. AQI transforms into the Islamic State of Iraq, ISI. New leaders, Abu Ayyub al-Mazri, later Abu Omar al-Baghdadi. This wasn't just a name change.
A bigger vision.
Much more ambitious. A full-fledged caliphate across Iraq. And that resonated with many disenfranchised Sunnis who felt abandoned, who saw ISI as maybe providing some kind of order the official government couldn't.
And their tactics changed too.
Evolved again. Even more brutal, but also, crucially, more media savvy. Using early social media for propaganda, recruitment. Those horrific videos, beheadings, atrocities, they attracted foreign fighters, globalized their terror network.
So facing this morphing, brutal enemy, how did U.S. forces adapt? Colonel Shawn McFarland's strategy in late '06, early '07 seems key here.
Absolutely crucial. He got that the old, heavy-handed military tactics wouldn't work against this kind of enemy in this kind of environment. His approach was a major shift in counterinsurgency doctrine, COIN.
What was the core idea?
Emphasizing civilian cooperation, realizing that genuine security for the population was the foundation for any lasting stability. You had to protect the people.
Which led to the clear, hold, build strategy.
Exactly. Formally adopted, rigorously implemented, clear insurgents out, hold the area to keep them out, then build local capabilities, local governance, putting the population, not just the enemy, at the center.
A big departure.
Huge. It demanded a deeper understanding of local dynamics, more patience, more community focus. McFarland made tactical decisions based on local intel, built deeper trust with Iraqi security forces, embedded U.S. advisors right with Iraqi units to train and mentor them side by side.
A long-term vision.
Yeah, the goal was for locals to eventually take over their own security, reduce dependency on U.S. troops. And on the ground, this meant things like the combat outposts, COPs.
Moving away from the big bases.
Right. Instead of operating from large, distant forward operating bases, FOBs, you put smaller groups of U.S. forces in the neighborhoods. Continuous interaction with locals, fostered security, provided vital real-time intelligence straight from the people.
That must have been a massive shift for the soldiers, too, living right amongst the population.
Oh, profound. Constant visible presence. It helped change perceptions, right? Maybe seeing U.S. troops less as occupiers, more as partners, protectors, essential for countering that insurgent propaganda.
And these cops tied into the intelligence focus.
Directly. Plus, they were using advanced surveillance drones, recon units feeding real-time info back. This allowed for quicker reactions, precision targeting, preemptive strikes, trying to limit collateral damage while still hitting the insurgents hard.
Constant chess match.
Adaptation and evolution played out street by street in Ramadi.
Yeah. But amidst all this, something remarkable starts to happen, almost counterintuitive. The Anbar Awakening, this dramatic shift in allegiances. What kicked that off?
Key trigger, really, was the execution of Sheikh Abu Ali Jassim back in June 2005. He was a respected Sunni tribal leader in Anbar, openly critical of AQI's brutality.
He saw they were alienating people.
Exactly. Extortion, kidnapping, executing tribal members. It wasn't winning hearts and minds, even among Sunnis. His murder, this brazen act by AQI against tribal authority, it really galvanized other leaders, sparked this sense of unity among tribes that hadn't existed before. They were scared, but now they were angry too.
A paradigm shift, you called it.
Without exaggeration, yeah. Sheikh Jassim's death showed this growing unity. And then Sheikh Abdul Sattar Abu Rishi emerged. A charismatic figure took decisive action. He brought these disjointed tribal efforts together into something organized.
The Anbar Salvation Council.
Formed officially September 2006. A groundbreaking coalition. Facilitated collaboration, gave them collective bargaining power against the insurgents. Abu Rishi was incredibly pragmatic.
How so?
He negotiated with U.S. forces while fiercely advocating for Anbari needs. And critically, he managed to get historically rival tribes to sit down together, put aside old feuds, face the common enemy.
AQI was more dangerous than the Americans at that point.
For their way of life, absolutely. This alliance was a strategic masterstroke. It recognized AQI was destroying their society from within.
So the council wasn't just military.
Far more. It was about reclaiming local sovereignty, dismantling old tribal beefs because division only helped AQI. It gave tribes a path back to autonomy, away from AQI's repressive rule.
And the U.S. presence suddenly looked different.
Totally different. Once viewed with suspicion, now U.S. forces became maybe not friends, but necessary allies against a more immediate, more brutal enemy.
A pragmatic alignment.
For both sides. Tribal leaders needed U.S. help to survive, restore order. U.S. forces got invaluable intelligence and local legitimacy.
And the impact on the ground.
Profound. The Awakening Council led to coordinated anti-AQI efforts, a collective surge towards self-determination, and critically, the Sons of Iraq, the Sawa groups.
Community security forces.
Exactly. Mostly local tribal members. Many actually fought against U.S. forces previously. Now they were switching sides.
And the U.S. supported them.
Quickly shifted focus. Equipped them, trained them, paid them. By mid-2007, estimates are like 100,000 Sunni fighters had joined these groups. Astonishing turnaround.
Redefining power in Anbar.
Completely. Tribal councils started mediating disputes again, handling local affairs, providing services, integrating local governance with security, emphasizing legitimacy, community-driven solutions.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing.
Definitely not. Underlying tensions remained. Many sons of Iraq were ex-insurgents. Questions about long-term loyalty, how to integrate them into official Iraqi forces, especially as the U.S. started talking withdrawal. Those gains felt fragile. Would they last without the common enemy and U.S. support? Big questions.
It's always the personal stories of bravery, though, that really illuminate the conflict, right? Make it tangible. Anchor the big strategies and individual courage.
Absolutely, they bring it home.
Let's talk about some of those acts of valor during the Ramadi fight and the wider war. Acts that echo the spirit of service we saw in Benjamin Schuster.
Okay.
Sergeant First Class Paul Smith, though he died earlier, he's such an enduring symbol. Fierce firefight, exposes himself to enemy fire with a machine gun to save wounded guys, provide cover, gave his life.
Incredible heroism.
And Marine Corporal Jason Dunham near Ramadi. Grenade lands near his team. Without hesitation, throws himself on it, shields his buddies. Posthumous Medal of Honor, just unbelievable selflessness.
And these weren't isolated incidents. That's the thing. It represents this pervasive spirit. Staff Sergeant Kelly Smith maneuvering through bullets and shrapnel to drag a wounded soldier to safety. Amazing composure.
And medics.
Always the medics. Unsung
Wow.
heroes. Specialist Adam F. Dyer, combat medic, rushes to a roadside bomb site while under fire, stabilizes multiple critical soldiers, saves their lives against huge odds.
And entire units showed bravery, too.
Oh yeah, collective bravery. The 1st Armored Division troops during big operations like Spear and Mountain faced relentless assaults. Captain Julio Santiago deliberately draws enemy fire so his men can regroup and flank. Sergeant First Class Scott Redding leads a charge against a fortified position, rallies his guys, takes out insurgents, pinning them down.
It's like bravery breeds bravery.
It really does seem to.
Yeah.
This communal spirit, it wasn't just spontaneous, it had this ripple effect. Each act inspired others, strengthened their resolve, their commitment to each other. It's that bond forged in combat that Benjamin Schuster knew too.
And then there's the story of Navy SEAL Michael Mansour.
Yeah, truly remarkable and harrowing. September 29, 2006. Mansour's a sniper team member on a Ramadi rooftop, providing overwatch.
Standard mission turned critical.
Exactly. Long firefight with insurgents, an enemy grenade gets thrown, lands right there on the rooftop among Mansour and 2 other SEALs.
Seconds to react.
Mere seconds. Lethal injury, imminent for all 3. Instead of diving for cover himself, instinctively, without hesitation, he moves towards the grenade, shouts a warning grenade, and then throws his own body onto it. Absorbs the entire blast.
Sacrificing himself.
Cost him his life, absolutely. But undeniably saved his 2 teammates. One of them later said he only survived because of Mansour's immediate, courageous action.
That's SEAL ethos, not on my watch.
Right there. Prioritizing teammates over self. Brotherhood, loyalty, self-sacrifice. President Bush awarded him the Medal of Honor posthumously in 2008. Said he gave his life for his friends, his comrades, and his country.
His story really highlights the unpredictable nature of that urban fight.
Absolutely. The uncertainties, the rapid escalation, engaging unconventional enemies in close quarters, the incredibly high stakes. Mansour's heroism, while singular, stands for the collective experience. The sacrifices of so many, like Benjamin Schuster, in that brutal conflict.
Which brings us right back to the ground level. How did these incredible acts connect to the daily, grinding, often brutal reality, especially through the eyes of our author.
Yeah, Shawn Armstrong, the author of the Second Battle of Ramadi, gives us that raw, visceral, firsthand perspective. It really humanizes everything we've been talking about.
He was experienced even before Iraq.
Yeah, volunteered as a replacement, had 12 years in armor, then came back to infantry where he'd started, and he actually knew Benjamin Schuster.
They trained together.
Met during pre-deployment at Camp Shelby, Mississippi. Armstrong was a team leader, an E-5 sergeant leading guys on the front line. Schuster was a PFC, junior enlisted, right there in the thick of it.
What was training like?
Armstrong recalls, it wasn't always super intense. Sometimes done by 4 p.m., lots of admin, time at the all-ranks club building cohesion. But they definitely got heavy weapons and comms training. Learned the new tech, like the Blue Force Tracker, that satellite system showing friendly locations.
Exactly. Revolutionary for preventing friendly fire, coordinating moves in that urban chaos. A real game changer.
And the journey to Ramadi.
Stark contrast. Flew into Camp Arifjan. Kuwait Armstrong calls it Camp Boring, ironically, given its safety. Found McDonald's Pizza Hut in 130-degree heat. Then this jarring, dangerous 5-ton truck ride to their FOB in Ramadi. Trucks armored up.
Yeah, crude steel welded to the sides. And get this, they were given only 6 rounds each for their M4s for the trip.
6 rounds.
Tells you something about expected resupply, right? Armstrong remembers that chilling welcome to war feeling setting in. He spent 2 weeks in transit barracks, then got sent to the scout platoon, HQ2 28th Division. Almost ended up on an M1 Abrams tank.
And he mentions a difficult relationship with his platoon sergeant.
Deeply challenging, yeah. Says the sergeant never went inside the wire into the city, too scared. Even dismissively tossed Armstrong his combat infantryman's badge, the CIB, earned for being in direct ground combat. That speaks volumes.
And the author stresses the fighting was constant.
Absolutely. Not just official battles. It was 247 reality for soldiers like Schuster, Armstrong himself.
Yeah.
11 IED hits.
11?
Yeah. One literally lifted his Humvee off the ground, caused his neck injury, endured 2 separate sniper attacks, that constant, terrifying threat. He describes an RPG bouncing off their electronic warfare truck, the one jamming IED signals and cell phones, making it a huge target.
What about indirect fire, mortars, rockets?
Every single night on the FOB, he says. And his reaction became almost resigned, decided to just stay put in his bunk rather than run to the hardened shelters. Figure, what if I run right into where the next one lands? Shows the psychological toll, that pervasive danger.
These specific mission accounts sound intense.
Incredibly visceral. His first mission.
Yeah.
Grabbing a high-value target via rooftop entry. Standard tactic, but led to a horrifying discovery, an AQI torture house in the garage. People hung by wrists, backs broken. A stark look at the enemy's brutality.
He worked with detainees, too.
Yeah, and he contrasts it with his background working in juvenile detention back home. Found the adult war zone detainees far more haunting, complex. His first IED blast, he says, it scared the crap out of me. Every muscle ached the next day from shock and adrenaline.
And that story about the grenade and artillery shells?
Terrifying. Found a weapons cache under a house, artillery shells, grenades, AKs. He ends up holding a live, unstable WWII-era grenade pin, pulled right next to 4 massive 155mm artillery shells, just praying another IED doesn't set the whole thing off. Unbelievable pressure.
When did he leave Iraq?
June 15, 2006. Just a few months after Benjamin Schuster was killed. His experience is so raw and personal, they provide this invaluable context for the dangers, the strain, the bravery that Schuster and everyone else faced every single day. Makes their sacrifices feel incredibly real, tangible.
So, pulling back again, this deep dive into Ramadi, seen through people like Schuster and Armstrong. What does it tell us about the bigger picture? The lasting impact?
The human cost, the aftermath. Just staggering. Over 100 U.S. military deaths, several hundred insurgent casualties just in the second battle.
Yeah.
But the civilian toll, immeasurable.
Displaced people, destroyed homes.
Thousands displaced, whole neighborhoods ruined. Businesses gone, like that Omar's shop mentioned. Farmland unusable. Food insecurity.
Yeah.
The psychological wounds, huge. Soldiers like Armstrong dealing with PTSD, anxiety, depression. As he says, even now I carry those days with me.
And civilians too, surely.
Absolutely. Especially kids living through that daily terror, profound, lasting trauma. This societal breakdown shattered trust, economic ruin, physical destruction. It tragically worsened sectarian divides.
Creating space for later groups like ISIS.
Directly contributed to it. That vacuum, that fertile ground of grievance, unresolved conflicts just breed future instability. But the lessons learned in Ramadi, especially during the surge, they did fundamentally reshape U.S. military strategy.
How so?
Post-battle analysis forced this critical rethink, emphasized understanding the local socio-political landscape, the human terrain. The clear, hold, build strategy became central, a core tenet, not just a tactic. Integrating military efforts with civilian governance, reconstruction,
So coin doctrine became more prominent.
massively accelerated its incorporation, directly influenced the 2007 surge. The focus shifted. Not just killing bad guys, but protecting the population, building local capacity. Huge emphasis on human intelligence, community engagement, recognizing military wins alone weren't enough for lasting peace.
And what about building that local capacity, the Iraqi security forces, the police?
Became absolutely crucial to the long-term strategy. Massive efforts in recruitment, training, integrating Iraqi units into combat ops alongside coalition forces, often dangerous, delicate work. Getting local forces trusted by their own people was seen as pivotal, a constant uphill battle.
Were there successes?
Definitely hard-won successes, yeah. Later forces like the PMF, the elite CTS, showed real cohesion, effectiveness against ISIS regaining territory. Joint ops improved intel sharing. Local police used community policing, slowly built trust, reduced violence in some areas, helped shift perceptions gradually.
But major challenges remain.
Oh, yeah. Huge difficulties in nation building amidst conflict. Pervasive corruption in parts of the police force, deeply embedded. Bribery, nepotism, lack of accountability, that blue wall of silence, undermined trust, effectiveness,
Training issues, too.
often inadequate training, operational inconsistencies, sometimes incompetence, sectarian divides, strained police units, bias crept in, and the rotation of coalition trainers often disrupted momentum. So despite real efforts building robust, self-sufficient, trusted local security, it remained a massive challenge. Reminds you that building institutions takes generations.
Which brings us to Ramadi today. After all that sacrifice, strategy, rebuilding efforts, what's the lasting impact?
It's a complex picture, really. 2023 Ramadi reflects both triumphs and failures. Ongoing administrative challenges, fragmented politics, and remember, IS surged back in 2014-15.
The city fell again.
Fell under their brutal control, prompted another major military campaign to recapture it in late 2015. A terrifying déjà vu for the city.
So what's the situation like now?
Security is much better than under IS, but lingering armed groups, active IS cells, still pose a threat. Guerrilla tactics, assassinations, socioeconomic recovery is slow. War damage, unemployment, corruption hampering rebuilding, diverting resources.
Those Iraqi forces?
Still grapple with cohesion capacity, often rely on external help, which complicates local perceptions of sovereignty. Plus, the wider geopolitics Iranian influence, sectarian tensions impact Ramadi's stability. And ideological motivations still appeal to some youth without real opportunities.
But there's hope, too.
Definitely. Ongoing initiatives to bolster community resilience. Local governance is evolving, trying to be more inclusive. International aid is flowing in for essential services, economic opportunities. It shows that persistent, hard-won hope for peace and prosperity. A testament, really, to the human spirit's ability to endure and rebuild, even against terrible odds.
So, wrapping this up, as you reflect on this deep dive, what's the main takeaway? We've gone from Benjamin Schuster's personal sacrifice through the strategic shifts, the insurgent evolution, the human costs in Ramadi. Thinking about these stories, Schuster's, Shawn Armstrong's, it really does breathe life into history, doesn't it? Moves us beyond just facts and figures, gives invaluable context for understanding modern war, the profound human experiences inside it.
Absolutely.
Ramadi, through these stories, seems to reveal this crucial truth. Victory isn't just about beating the enemy or taking ground. It's about the incredibly hard, long-term work of rebuilding trust, fostering local ownership, addressing the root causes of conflict.
If you neglect that piece.
History shows it can lay the groundwork for the next round of instability. Tactical wins become strategic problems down the line.
Which really raises that vital question, doesn't it? In a world still full of conflict, new hotspots flaring up while old ones smolder, how do we truly honor these sacrifices? How do we apply these incredibly hard-won lessons?
Yeah.
The story of Ramadi, the courage shown there by so many, it just underscores that military might, while it's a factor, isn't the whole answer. True, lasting stability. That hinges on something more nuanced. Understanding local dynamics, patiently fostering trust, consistently investing in comprehensive, community-led solutions, long after the shooting stops.
So the provocative thought for our listener.
It's this. What specific actions can we as informed individuals take to support those kinds of integrated approaches to peace and recovery? Recognizing that the ripples of war touch all of us, and that the seeds of future conflict are so often sown in the unresolved aftermath of the last one.